Right at the top of the first page of its constitution, this massive nation introduces itself with a double identity. It is a modern republic built on a naming paradox. Today, we think of countries as defined shapes with fixed boundaries. But for thousands of years, this landmass was a constantly shifting map of independent kingdoms, empires, and republics. Out of that long history, two specific names survived to reach modern law. One was born from indigenous texts and local mythology. The other is, essentially, a 2.5 millennia-old foreign mispronunciation. How did 5,000 years of native culture and global trade collide to create these two distinct titles? To answer that, we have to look at how this land was defined by the people living inside it, and the empires looking at it from the outside. Let's start from the inside. The Rig Veda, a Sanskrit text dating back several thousand years, gives us our first look at how the earliest inhabitants identified their home. They called it Sapta Sindhava, the land of the 7 rivers. At this stage, the geographic identity was highly localized, tethered strictly to the Indus River and its tributaries in the northwestern corner of the subcontinent. As civilizations expanded, so did their mental maps. By the 3rd century BCE, Emperor Ashoka ruled a vast territory. He left stone inscriptions calling the wider subcontinent Jambudvipa, the island of the jamun tree, a native fruit-bearing plant. Eventually, another name took hold, Bharatavarsha, meaning the country of the Bharatas. The Bharatas were a prominent Vedic group, first mentioned in the Rig Veda, and later literature features several legendary kings sharing the name Bharat. These internal names grew from the ground up. The people living here defined their world organically through rivers watering their crops, native trees that shaded them, and ancestral lineages they remembered. This raises a practical problem. The subcontinent is massive. Without satellite imagery or modern cartography, how could millions of people across distinct, often warring kingdoms agree on what constituted Bharat? Ancient texts mapped a shared geography. The Vishnu Purana defines Bharat as land north of the ocean and south of the snowy mountains. This was widely accepted. Even southern Tamil poetry describes a domain stretching from Cape Kumari up to the Great Northern Mountain. So Bharat functioned as a deeply ingrained mental map. Long before it was a single political state, it was a unified geographic and cultural consciousness shared by people separated by thousands of miles. While the inhabitants were looking inward at their mountains and oceans, the rest of the world was looking at them. In the 6th century BCE, the Persian Empire expanded to the edge of the subcontinent, colliding with the river known locally as the Sindhu. Persians adapted Sindhu into Hindu, using it as a geographical marker for the land beyond the river. Greeks later encountered these records, but lacking an H sound, they dropped it, creating Indoi. This chain reaction happened eastward too. Chinese scholars localized Sindhu into Yintu. That single body of water triggered a cross-continental game of telephone. As the word traveled through the empires of antiquity, it mutated, eventually settling into the globally recognized name India. When the leaders of the newly independent republic sat down to draft their constitution in 1950, they had to choose how to present their country to the modern world. They had Bharat, a name carrying the weight of ancient Sanskrit texts, the native flora, and a geographic consciousness that had united the subcontinent's people from the inside. And they had India, a name that captured their long history of global trade, exploration, and centuries of interaction with the Persians, the Greeks, and the Chinese. They didn't discard either. By writing India, that is Bharat, into their founding law, they officially anchored the modern state to 5,000 years of history, from both the inside and the outside.